everybody, and welcome back. Today is another Sporting Blizzard podcast, and I am joined, and this is just going to be a weekly theme from now on, during the football season at least. My father, Tony. Say hello to everyone, Tony.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yep. And we're here to talk about Packers-Chiefs preseason game, which, it was something. We have Offense Rookie of the Year prediction, Defensive Rookie of the Year prediction, MVP, AFC playoff teams, NFC playoff teams, the Super Bowl matchup, who's going to win the Super Bowl, and bold predictions. This is going to be jam-packed. And are you excited to get it going?
I'm always excited to talk football.
Yep. And we're going to start off with Packers-Chiefs. And what was your biggest takeaway from this game?
My biggest takeaway is rumors of the Chiefs' demise might be false.
Yeah, you were buying into them too.
Oh, I honestly was going to tell everybody that they weren't making the playoffs this year.
And then you saw them and was like, oh yeah, this team is coached by Andy Reid. They'll be fine.
Something like that.
Yeah. Was there any big takeaways from this game though? Because there was one thing that I took away, and that's George Karlaftis looks great.
He does. His point of attack is really strong. He's a lot faster than I thought.
Same.
He was.
He looked faster here in an NFL game than he did in college, which is surprising because he's against better players now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I think the Chiefs' defense as a whole is a lot faster, which isn't exactly, good for the rest of the AFC West, considering that was one of the things that everybody could bank on is that the Chiefs' defense was suspect, and I think they could be a game changer this year, so to say.
So do you mind if I ask you this? Do you think game red Tyrann Mathieu sent a message to this defense?
No, I think what happened was they brought such an influx of younger players, and they've gotten definitely a lot faster. So with Karlaftis and, just some of the other players that they did get, they're definitely a lot faster, younger, and they fly to the ball.
And a lot of that credit, as much as we can give the defensive coaches credit for getting them up to game speed, a lot of it goes to the scouts because the Chiefs have not had premier picks in the NFL. So their scouts had to do a lot of work, and they've helped build a pretty good team as usual.
Yeah, but I mean, this year was kind of the exception. They were able to get both McDuffie and Karlaftis in the first round.
And McDuffie, I'm his number one fan.
Yes, you do. You are the president and chairman of the fan club.
Yeah, I hope for his sake it goes better than the Sam Darnold fan club. That went up in flames.
Yeah. Apocalyptic.
Yeah. All Adam Gase's fault. No one else's fault, just Adam Gase. Yeah, but of course, there's one guy we have to talk about here, and it's a former first-round pick. What were your thoughts on Jordan Love?
Well, let's start off with explaining that I'm not the biggest Jordan Love fan, and
he doesn't believe in the power of love.
And I'm still not feeling the love. I'm sorry.
Oh. And I thought mine was bad.
He played okay, but his throws, instead of trying to lead the receiver, he's throwing it to where they have to turn around behind them, and so they don't really have a lot of momentum in their throws. I mean, yeah, he's getting it to them, but you still have to be able to lead them out so that they can make the play and get yards after catch, and he doesn't do that.
The Packers offense felt very college-like, and with what you're going into, college quarterbacks, they don't throw into runs. The great ones do, but mainly it's stop throws. And that's a lot with what we saw here with the Packers offense.
It used to be like that. A lot more of the colleges are going to more of a pro-ready. Pickett, we've talked about him. He throws to guys in motion, which is what you want to do. The problem here with what Love is doing is, he's throwing in the general direction, but the guys are having to compensate for it, whether they're turning around or, basically stopping or whatever else just to get the catch instead of catching the ball on the run to where they're still able to be at full speed in an instant. And in this game, if you don't, you're going to get tackled.
Oh, yeah. And the Chiefs, they played very good defense. I thought the Packers' O-line looked pretty rough to start out. I don't know if that was their starters or not, but it did not look good.
Well, I think that just is a lot of the new defensive line. You can't double team as much anymore, and so your one-on-one matchups, the players are going to win.
I mean, you got Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and George Karlaftis. One of them's going to get free.
You would hope so.
And here's the thing: the Chiefs, they probably have maybe the weakest defensive line and edge rusher. I mean, mainly in their division. Depends how you view Chubb and Gregory right now, but you could make the case that they're the worst. Because you got Bosa and Mack. That's terrifying. You got Chandler Jones and, oh my God, what's his name? Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
Yeah. You got those two duos. You can make a case for either of them being 1 or 2, and then you look at Chiefs Broncos as a case to be who's third and who's fourth.
I would honestly put the Chiefs third right now. And the only reason why I say that, I've never been a Randy Gregory fan. He has splash plays, but he's not consistent. And he's hurt. And, I mean, let's face it, he's had so many disciplinary things as well. It's not even funny. Chubb has never reached the potential coming out. I mean, he's still a really good ball player, and I don't want to sound like I'm slighting him.
We both view him as having the shot to be in the T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett category, and he hasn't been there.
He hasn't, and some of it's been injuries, but I just don't think that he's the player that we thought he was when he was coming out, and it's not his problem.
No, he's a good player that will probably get multiple contracts in the NFL.
Yeah, whereas I think Karlaftis might be the real deal. And Frank Clark last year, he had a ton of stuff going on. I would be shocked if this year it's not completely different for him.
And here's the other thing I noticed with Karlaftis. When the Packers were running the ball this side, he was moving his linemen. He was stuffing the run. Like, what else do you want from a rookie pass rusher? Oh, you can get to the quarterback. Great. You can also stop the run. Hello? It's just, those are the things coaches will want. Like, fans love the sacks. Coaches want to see them just get down and gritty and just stop a rushing play. Make them not run to your side. Take that out of their playbook completely.
Well, I think one of the things is that it's not so much that, of course, they don't want you to run at their side, because let's face it, defensive coaches would rather have you run on them than throw on them in today's day and age. So, but the stonewall or the, getting into the backfield, number 47, Harris for KC, I'm pretty sure it was in the first quarter. He had 3 plays. He plays linebacker. He had 3 plays. He had a sack. He had 2 more plays that were in the backfield. It would just, because if your defensive line can hold up the offensive linemen to where they're not getting into that second tier, that leaves your linebackers the opportunity to make plays behind the line of scrimmage or tackles for little to no gain. And I just think that their defensive line is strong enough at the point of attack where, as long as their linebackers hold up, they could be pretty scary.
Yeah, and there's one other guy I want to talk about this game, and that was Pacheco. I don't know what you thought of him, but I was watching him. He is explosive.
Oh, he's highly explosive. The only thing that I'd say about that is sometimes he's too quick to go. He's got to learn a little bit of patience, because you still have to wait for that hole to open up. and on those lead plays, he was like basically right on the O line's derriere, and uh, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to make an explosive run that way.
No, and probably the best guy to have him sit down and watch film of would be Le'Veon Bell with how patient he was, just to show with what can happen when you're a little bit patient. Because the Chiefs have a pretty good O-line.
Oh, they do, and that's a really good player to reference as well, because Le'Veon Bell was probably the funniest running back by the way he just stayed behind the line of scrimmage, and most people would say he stayed behind the line of scrimmage too long, but it worked for him. At least it did in Pittsburgh.
Well, when you watch Le'Veon Bell play, and I'm going to make this connection, you're not going to get it, but it's like when you're playing someone online in Madden and their controller disconnects when they're running the ball, and they reconnect it real quick and they run for a big gain. Because everyone's moved out of the way by the whole line. Yeah, but did you have any other thoughts from this game?
I think that KC's offense will be okay. With I only got to watch, Sky Moore do the return, but he's got another gear that a lot of players don't. And whereas I don't know if he's as fast as, Hill.
I don't think he is, and that's not a shot at Moore. Hill's just otherworldly fast.
Yeah. But you have him, who I think he's going to have an amazing season. Juju, who, let's face it, if if Sky Moore and if Travis Kelce are both legitimate ones there, then Schuster is going to be able to run off and do what he did best in Pittsburgh, which is make some big gains against the second-rated DBs.
Yeah, my only problem with Sky Moore is he's a wide receiver wearing a number in the 20s. I don't like it. I do not
get this whole thing with the number changes. I'm old school, but then again, I still say San Diego Chargers all the time, and you make fun of me. So this could just be an old thing.
Yeah, I'm okay with like single digit numbers, even though I prefer if it was how it used to be. But like, I don't want to see a wide receiver wearing number 20. Also, new rule: number 1 goes to the biggest, fattest guy on the team. That should be the rule. But get away from the numbers conversation. What did you think overall? Like, do you think the Packers are set up for good success? And do you think the Chiefs are set up for good success entering the 2022 season?
I think the Chiefs are definitely more well-rounded than they've probably been in the last few years.
That's scary.
And so, exactly. And so I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with the Packers. Their running game is going to be good. They've got 2 amazing running backs. They've got Aaron Rodgers. Tanyan's back. So
Tunyon.
I don't.
You said Tanyan. It's Tunyon.
Okay, well, I've always heard him say Tanyan. But anyway, so they have him back. He'll get a lot of receptions. The receivers, it'll be interesting to see just how it plays out. But their defense can be so scary this year that I think they'll still make the playoffs. But I think it's going to be more of a running attack, hitting some play action, and letting that defense just go to work.
Okay, so here's a question. Do you view the Packers kind of similar to the Steelers last year and the Broncos in the final years of Peyton Manning?
No. Aaron Rodgers can still do everything he needs to do. He just doesn't have talent right now. Not to say he doesn't have talent. He's got inexperienced talent, and we really don't know what they can actually provide.
Lazard's the only wide receiver I believe that's... No, they also have Randall Cobb still.
Yes. I think Randall Cobb is older than I am, so,
That is not true. I can confirm that is not true. But we only know how he plays with Lazard and Cobb. Everyone else is from scratch. This is a whole new team on offense, practically. And the big reason why is they lost their best player. And yes, Rodgers is good. Devontae was better for the Packers because he was the guy that they'd get the ball to whenever and he'd make a play for them. They don't have that this year. And it's going to be very interesting
That
to see
we
how the
know,
Packers adjust.
they don't have it that we know of.
True.
Let's preface it by saying that because we don't know what they've really got. And it's going to take some time for them to figure it out. But if even early in the season, if they're winning games in a more low scoring, running the ball fashion, and Aaron gets used to his receivers and they get used to some of the things that he does, then they'll probably be okay. I mean, let's face it, even with the speed that they have, if they take just some deep shots initially just to get the receivers going, then some of them are going to connect. So, but I think more to anything else, their defense is going to be the dominant side of the ball this year for them, and it's going to carry them as far as they need to go.
Until they run to Jimmy G and San Francisco 49ers. I kid, Packers fans. I kid.
I don't.
Well, we'll get into that later with NFC playoff teams. But up next, who is your offensive rookie of the year?
Not to be redundant, but Sky Moore.
Oh. Are you just going to repeat the same thing you said, or do you have anything else to add?
You think about that. They're going to use him in the receiving game, in the return game, and I mean, he's got a running back's number, so I would not be surprised if he's not used in the running game as well. They're going to get him the ball as much as they possibly can in as many ways as they can just to use his playmaking ability. And whereas there's a lot of talented rookies coming out this year, not many of them have Andy Reid as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So when I pick out awards, I look for narratives because at the end of the day, it's a media award. This is not the players choosing. This is not the executives choosing. This is a media award. So I look for narratives. Last year, Jamar Chase, part of the Bengals' resurgence with Joe Burrow. That was huge. The year before that, who was it the year before that? Was that Kyler? No, it was not Kyler. Herbert. Right?
Yeah.
It was Herbert. Herbert, the guy taking over from Phillip Rivers. Year before that was Kyler, the guy in Arizona. And I can just keep on going, so on. But they give it to narratives. Now, this may be a biased pick for me. I'm 100% aware of that. I'm not going to say I don't have any biasness whatsoever. But I'm picking Kenny Pickett. And the reason why I'm picking Pickett is I think he'll get playing time early. I don't see this being Mitch's job for the long run from what I saw in the preseason. And overall discussion you hear from Coach Tomlin, I think he wants to get Pickett out there quicker than you'd expect. Now, why do I think Pickett's going to do it? He has the talent around him. You look at that Steelers receiving core, anybody could trade and they get a good player if they got their Steelers 6th guy. You look at the tight end, they got Pat Freiermuth. You look at the running back, they got Najee Harris. My concern is the O-line, which is a concern with a young quarterback because you don't want them getting happy feet. But then there's the narrative as well. The guy succeeding Ben in Pittsburgh. The hometown kid doing it in Pittsburgh. I know he's from New Jersey, but he went to Pitt for 5 years. He's a hometown kid. The city already loves him. They'd kill for him. I think Kenny Pickett will be the media darling if he puts up good numbers and will win it. Do you have any takeaways from that?
Yeah, I don't think he's the best rookie on their team offensively. And if there's an offensive rookie that wins it on that team, it's not going to be him.
But Pickens isn't a narrative. The media will look for a narrative, and that's Pickett.
You can say the same thing about Sky Moore, the narrative there. Hill's gone. What's, Mahomes going to do? You think about it, all off season, they talked about how the Chiefs were doomed. And then come through the first round. Guess what they didn't do? They didn't take an offensive replacement. Oh, no. What are they doing? What are they doing to Mahomes? And then they go out and they get Sky Moore. And So if you want to go by your narratives, there it is. But like I said, I just think that even though Pickett is, I understand your choice there.
And it has some bias in it. I'm well aware of that.
Absolutely. But Pickens is going to have an explosive year. Pickens might be the best wide receiver on the team.
Ooh.
Period.
That's hard for you, Deontay. That's a bold prediction. You guys just got an early bold prediction. But here's the thing, though. Do you know what we both did for Offense Rookie of the Year? I take the silence as a no. We both picked someone that has ties to Pittsburgh. Sky Moore grew up in Pittsburgh. He was friends with Tomlin's kids growing up.
Yeah, didn't know that. I won't hold it against him.
Hey! Let's switch to Defensive Rookie Year, which I'm sure you're more excited to talk about because it's defense. So who do you got?
This is probably going to be a homer pick, but Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh.
I just watch him play, and
monster.
He's not just a monster, but he's relentless. And that motor reminds me of so many other guys that they don't give up on the ball. I mean, you look at Bosa, you look at some of the other guys that have come along recently, and they just don't quit. And you don't see him in the limited action that I've seen him in. You don't see him taking plays off. And the team already loves him. So
the city loves him.
The city loves him. And I just think that he's going to have an amazing opportunity to get some sacks. And can you imagine what the media is going to say the first time he sacks Aaron Rodgers, or the first time that he sacks Kirk Cousins? Everybody is just going to go crazy because, he's such a nice guy and he's a worker. And that's what Detroit, the only place where he would have gone and the stigma of just a working class society fits better is in Pittsburgh, but that wasn't going to happen. So,
well, I hate to be boring here, but my Defensive Rookie of the Year is Aiden Hutchinson. The play on the field is one thing, but also, and I'm going to repeat with what I said about Pickett, he's a hometown kid. He is the easy media darling, and his play will show it. Like, can you see him getting double-digit sacks this year? I can.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's just relentless. This dude plays like a Dan Campbell player. Like, Dan Campbell built him in a lab. Intensity. Will not give up. Will bite someone's head off. That's Aiden Hutchinson. And because you said practically everything I wanted to say, let's move on to MVP. Who is your MVP?
Joe Burrow.
Ooh.
And here's my reason why. Last year, everybody talked about just how ice cold he was, amazing, and everything else. And he ran for his life most of the year. He didn't have an offensive line that was going to hold up, okay? And yet he accomplished what he accomplished. That offense was just downright scary. And yeah, they got hot at the right time, and they got into the playoffs. But when they got into the playoffs, they did what they needed to do. This year, he has an offensive line. And so what's he going to be able to do when he has an extra half second to a second in the pocket to see Chase or to see the tight end or, whomever he's going to be throwing to? It's that extra time he's going to have. His completion percentage is going to go up. He's not going to have to run as much. He's not going to get beat up as much. I just think that we're in store for a special season out of him. If you remember, it's not like their schedule was their win-loss record last year. was amazing.
I believe they were 10-7.
They got in, but when they got in, the defense did what they had to do, and the offense did what they had to do. Moving up into there, they were the hottest thing going. And so I think with the offense, the defense is going to give them opportunities. And that offensive line, I just think that it's going to be his year.
Now, is this at all affected by the fact you drafted in fantasy football to be your quarterback?
No, I drafted him in fantasy football because I think that he is probably going to be the highest point total QB with the exception of one person. And the only reason why I think that he's going to score more points is because he also runs with the ball as well.
So, listen, when I look at MVP, most valuable player, in my head that means best player in the NFL. Well, the best player in the NFL plays defense. He ain't winning that. Well, who's the best offensive player in the NFL? Pat Mahomes. I can say like, oh, Josh Allen, oh, Matt Stafford, oh, Joe Burrow. Listen, I'm going to take the best quarterback in the NFL, and that's Patrick Mahomes. You are stupid to bet against him at this point because whenever someone says the Chiefs are done, the Chiefs are done. Remember last year when they were under 500? They're dead. Stick the fork in them, they're done for. Pat Mahomes played amazing. Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Packers fans can say Aaron Rodgers. Bills fans can say Josh Allen. Bucs fans can say Tom Brady. Go on, go on. Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and the quarterback's the most valuable position in the NFL. That's why I picked Pat Mahomes.
Hey, who knocked Pat Mahomes out of the playoffs last year?
Should have been the Bills. Don't hold the grudge there.
But
oh no, the Bengals played great defense, and that was a big thing. I think Pat Mahomes is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. This is not a shot against Joe Burrow because I think he's top 5 at worst. But Pat Mahomes is just otherworldly good. And let's go off to the AFC playoff team. So, who do you have winning the AFC North?
The Bengals.
Same. The Bengals, they are currently, and as much as it's going to hurt me to say as a Steelers fan, they're the Kings of the North. They have the best quarterback in the division. Yes, Ravens fans, they have the best quarterback in the division. He is going to lead them for many years of success. The only other argument you have, it would be if the Browns had Deshaun Watson. I know there's a lot of icky stuff there. Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback, and the Browns have a talented team. But the Bengals are currently the Kings. They run the jungle. And look at them. They improved their O-line, like you said. They're better. They have Joe Mixon, one of the best running backs in the NFL. They have the talent at receiving. They did downgrade tight end, but we'll see. Joe Burrow can make magic happen. And their defense is pretty good, too. So it's not like they're just one side of the ball team. They have a pretty good defense as well. My only concern with them is their head coach. And would you agree with all that I just said?
I don't exactly know why you would say there's an issue with the head coach. You know,
I think Zach Taylor's the worst coach in the AFC North, head coach wise. I think he's worse than Harbaugh, Tomlin, and Stefanski.
Well, since two of those guys are two of the best coaches in the NFL, period. I would agree with you, but then again, I'm a Stefanski homer. But that being said, he's put together a pretty good team, and he has them utilizing what they need to do. Do I think that he is the reason why they had the success they did? No, I think that they had the success they did last year because they've put together a really, really good team. And there's just so much physical talent on that team that it just kind of pours out all over you. But I still don't say that I wouldn't say that he's a bad coach. And, that's just my opinion of the whole thing.
Yeah. So up next, AFC West. Who do you have winning the AFC West?
The Chargers.
Oh. Go ahead. Explain.
So just like all new coaches, Zach Taylor, since we were just talking about him, the year before made a ton of mistakes. And there were rumors that he wasn't even going to make it into last year.
Okay.
That he was going to.
Staley did not make mistakes. He made stuff that made old football heads not like. I still say he made the right calls going for it on fourth down.
No, he made mistakes. All right. There, you can go analytics all you want, but there is a thing called momentum in a game, and that trumps analytics hands down. Okay. So if you're a peewee team going up against a varsity team, analytics say that you should go for it on 4th and 1. Absolutely not. Why is that? Because you're going up against a better opponent and you don't have a chance. Okay. So analytics are great in some areas, but he made mistakes last year. And I think he's going to have learned from those mistakes. Oh, and by the way, they got a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
They have another edge rusher, and they have a really good DB. They got a lot better on the defense, and their offense is scary, period, anyway. So I wish that they had a bona fide running back, and that's nothing to say against Austin Eckler, but he's more of a flashy, sports car type running back that catches the ball out of the backfield a lot. He's not really the pound in the tackles, and they haven't hit on that yet. We'll see. They've got a couple of guys this year that might do it, but we'll have to wait and see how the season plays out. But I just think that they have so much talent, and their defense is a lot better. And I personally think that they have the best defensive player in that division on their team. And his name is not Bosa.
Derwin James Homer.
Guilty as charged.
See, everyone, he loves safety play. Just never in the comment section, never say a bad thing about Camp Chancellor for my mental sanity, please. Now, my AFC West pick is simple. I'm taking the Chiefs. They're the kings of the West. They have Andy Reid, the second best coach in the NFL. They have Pat Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. They have an improved defense, as we both said. They have maybe the best O-line in that division. Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to go into big details about it, because I do, at the end of the day, think the Chiefs are the second best team in the NFL as of today. Now, who do you have winning the AFC East? And I'm pretty sure we could both say this on 3, but go ahead.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. It's not a shot against anyone else, but the talent gap between the Bills in second place is pretty big no matter who takes second place.
I will take exception to that comment. I will take exception to that. I think that the Dolphins are nipping at their heels. I really do. Do I think that the quarterback is as good? No. But
I don't think the team's as good.
Oh, the team is, and in a lot of ways, the team actually is probably better.
I'll disagree, but we'll get into that with wildcard teams, I'm sure. And AFC South, I'm willing to bet we have the exact same. Colts.
The Colts.
Matt Ryan over Carson Wentz. Immediate improvement. Best running back in the game, Jonathan Taylor. Best interior offensive lineman in the game in Quentin Nelson. Good defense. One of the best defensive linebackers in the game, Darius Leonard. One of the best defensive linemen in the game, DeForest Buckner. This team is loaded and they're ready for a run. Got anything to add?
No, that was pretty succinct.
Yep. So who are your wildcard teams in the AFC? Who are your 3 wildcard teams?
The Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Ravens.
Ooh. We have the exact same division, but 2 different teams. And I have the Chargers here because I have the Chiefs winning the division. I like the Chargers a lot. I just don't trust them not charging it. Second wildcard spot, I have the New England Patriots. That line's going to be better than people think. Bill Belichick's going to have that defense better than people thinks. I'm not betting against the Patriots. I'm sorry, they've burned me too many times doing that. And last but not least, could be a homer, but I don't care. I think Kenny Pickett gets the Steelers there because I don't think the Ravens are going to hold up at the end of the season, and I'll get into that in a second. But do you have any disagreements to go off of?
So far as, I mean, that's who you think it's going to be. I personally think that talent-wise, New England is the fourth best talented team in that division. And so it'll be interesting to see.
So let's go to the NFC, and we're going to kick off the NFC North. I'm going to start this out because I have kind of just been waiting to say this. Minnesota Vikings win the division. They're going to beat the Packers. Even though the more I say that out loud, I have less confidence because the Vikings will miss a field goal and they'll somehow miss the playoffs. But who do you have winning the NFC North?
The Minnesota Vikings. I have picked the Vikings to win it, 3 out of the last 4 years?
Yeah, that hasn't gone well for you.
And been wrong, 3 out of the last 4 years?
I think they won it one time out of those 4.
They did. But their offense is flat out stacked. Mm-hmm. They have depth at running back. They have more receivers than you can throw to.
Something Green Bay does not have.
They've got really good tight end. Their offensive line is actually better than advertised. And their defense, they picked up some pieces. It's been retooled. And, I think that they could be the real deal.
But this is Minnesota, and if there's one thing we've learned from watching Vikings through the years, they'll Viking it up. But when I look at the Vikings, I see the talent. They got Zadarius Smith to pair up to Danielle Hunter. That's terrifying. They got Harrison Smith running the back end. That's terrifying. Andrew Booth, a young cornerback that people loved. I have questions about him in zone coverage, but man him up, I have full faith in him. They look at the offense. As you say, the O-line is better than what people think. But you look at everything else around Kirk Cousins, if he does not have a great year, and I mean a great year, it ain't good for Kirk's future. Because you got Dalvin Cook. As long as Dalvin Cook stays healthy, he's a top 5 running back in the league. Justin Jefferson, top 5 wide receiver in the league. Adam Thielen, top 20 wide receiver in the league. You have KJ Osborne for your slot. You just added Jalen Reagor, who I don't know how he's going to fit in there, but he's still a talented player at the end of the day, just as a case of the dropsies. And you got Irv Smith, who is a fascinating tight end that I've been waiting to see play in an NFL season fully. Now, let's kick it out west to the NFC West. This is going to be boring. Who do you got winning the NFC West?
Aaron Donald.
Is he going to fight everyone with 2 helmets the entire game?
Hey, whatever it takes to win.
I would not pick a fight with Aaron Donald if you swing 2 helmets. I'm walking the other way.
What's the old adage? If you're not cheating, you're not trying. No, I just think the Rams. They lost. They lost talent this year, yeah, but they brought in talent. Allen Robinson gives them a completely different dynamic than either Woods or Odell. And I just love what he's going to be able to bring to that offense. On defense, the weakest link of their defense last year was their linebacker play. And they have
Here comes the homerism.
The complete homerism. But one of the best, if not the best linebackers to play in the last 10 years now in Bobby. And I have gone on record for saying this, because I know Seattle doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning the Super Bowl. So if anybody can win the Super Bowl, I'd rather have it be Bobby than Russ.
I'll just wait till we get in the Denver conversation. He's very over the breakup. Wink, wink. Now, I couldn't just say everything you just said and sound very boring, but I'm just going to say this about it. Has anyone had an upgrade of coaches as severely as Allen Robinson going from Matt Nagy to Sean McVay?
Well, I mean, anybody, anybody that went from Matt Nagy to somebody's had an upgrade. So, I mean, I'd have to go back.
Maybe unless they went to Adam Gase. Maybe they're par for the course there. Maybe. But NFC East. This is going to be interesting. I'm going first. Give me the Washington Commies. I refuse to say that name, the full-on name, because it's horrible.
Well, then why don't you just go with the Washington football team? Because at least that sounded cool.
Washington football team, even though they are the Commies, I will refer to them as the Commies a bunch more in the future. Now, why am I taking Washington? It ain't because of Carson Wentz, I'm telling you that much. It's because that defense is going to be amazing.
How long is Chase out for?
4 games.
Minimum.
Minimum 4 games. So we look at that 4 games. Do you know they play in that 4-game stretch?
No, but I think you're going to tell me.
How'd you know? How'd you know I was going to tell you that? What gave you that idea?
Lucky guess.
So the Washington football team play the Jaguars week 1. That's very winnable. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, let me ask a question. Which team has the better quarterback?
Okay. This is strictly off college level Trevor Lawrence. That's strictly off what I saw at college. But the funny thing is, ironically, Carson Wentz is opening his season up against the Jaguars. That's ironic. They play the Lions week 2. Winnable. They play the Eagles week 3. I'm not that high on the Eagles, everyone. That's winnable. In week 4, my concern grows. They play Dallas. But I don't rule out division games. I think they can go 2-2 in that stretch. I'm happy. Because then I get Chase Young back. And he is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And they also have talent around him. They got Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne. I don't know if you know this. They're 2 pretty good defensive linemen. They got Kendall Fuller at cornerback. They have talent. They have Jamin Davis, the rookie they drafted last year to Kentucky, who I really love and think is ready to take a step forward. I think this Washington team is loaded on defense. I look at the offense, quarterback, I'm not going to lie, I have concerns. I have concerns about Carson Wentz because I've been burned by him a couple times. But they also
rate the quarterbacks in that division.
Dak Prescott, number 1, by a long shot. Who do I put 2? Ugh. Okay, this is going to sound crazy. Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, then Jalen Hurts.
I'm sorry, but Jordan has left the building.
No, he has not. He is right here. And listen, I'm not as big a Jalen Hurts as everyone else, and I will talk about this later on Wednesday when I'm uploading the video, so I'm trying to avoid it here. They didn't play anybody last year when they went on their winning streak. When they played someone in Tampa, he looked god-awful. I think Daniel Jones is better than Carson Wentz right now, strictly because I've seen Carson Wentz with a good O-line last year, and he still struggled. I've not seen Daniel Jones with a good O-line, but I've seen him have a lot more hits recently than Carson Wentz. But here's the thing. Washington has a good running back. Washington has the best receiver in the division. Washington has other receivers around him. I think...
Tell you what.
CeeDee Lamb's not better than McLaurin.
That can be a difference of opinion.
No. I don't think as highly as CeeDee Lamb as you do. I do not. Because Terry is top 5 for me. CeeDee is top 40. Okay, that's what me and Lil mean. Top 30.
And this is why I explained to Jordan, folks, that sometimes his biases get him in trouble.
Fine. We'll come back to this and watch when the Washington football team and head coach Ron Rivera, the best coach in that division, is the division winner.
Hey, folks, just one more thing. Ask Jordan who he picked to win the division last year.
Hey, you picked the exact same thing.
I'm not saying I didn't. I just want you to say it.
I picked the Washington football team when I thought Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be the quarterback. Then he broke his hip like an old man.
What was the record?
Ooh, I'd have to look that off the top of my head.
What? It wasn't good. Let's just go with that.
Say who you think, even though I know who it is, so I look up their record.
The Eagles.
Ugh.
So, for a lot of the reasons why Jordan is homering on the Washington Commanders, and just to be frank, the reason why he's picking the Commanders is because Riverboat Ron is awesome. Flat out, can't deny it. He is the best coach in that division. We don't know how good Brian Dable is going to be, but Rivera is the best coach in that division, and one of the reasons why Jordan's picking him. But the Eagles have a revamped defensive line, which is going to be scary. They've got...
Hang on a quick second. You're going robot. Is your mic plugged in fully?
Yeah.
Okay. Speak.
I'm speaking.
Okay, you sound better. It went really robot chaotic, like
All right.
static background noise.
All right, so the Eagles have a really, really good defensive line. Not as good as the Commanders, but still really good. They've got the best offensive line in that division. They have weapons. They have one of my favorite receivers in the game. I think Jordan keeps forgetting about him. They've got great running backs.
Oh, they do have A.J. Brown.
Their secondary is probably the best in that division. And their quarterback, whereas is inconsistent, he keeps getting better, and he still shows signs. And I think their offensive play calling, now that he actually has some weapons that should be able to catch the ball, I think it'll be a lot better. And I think they're going to surprise some people.
Okay, two quick things. Number one, I did forget about A.J. Brown for a second. He is top 10. I still take Scary Terry over him. Number two, Washington had a 7-10 record. They lost 4 games by 1 possession.
There's a lot of teams that do that.
I'm still saying it's possible. You can call me a madman, but I'll be the smart one when I'm right. At least that's what I say in my dreams.
There's an old saying, the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in its life. We're still waiting to see it shine on you, though.
Well, that's not nice.
Neither were the old comments.
I didn't direct them at you. I direct them at Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is younger than you. Now, speaking of it, let's go to the NFC South, and I'm going to talk about one of Ryan Fitzpatrick's former teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South. They have Tom Brady. They have Shaq Barrett. They have Villa. They have, oh my God, I almost said Marquise Godwin, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. Those are pretty dangerous players. You also look at their back end. They got Antoine Winfield Jr., who I love. And you're well aware of that. I think the Bucs are the best team in the NFC. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yes, have they had injuries in the O-line? Yes. But they still have Tom Brady, and they still have all the weapons in the world. And their defense is still terrifying. So give me the Bucs to win the division. Who do you have?
This is where it's really going to get interesting, because I have the Saints winning the division. And no, my microphone didn't go tinny. I'll say it again. I have the Saints winning the division. What's the team
We here in Sporting Blizzard will get a piss test taken just to be safe.
What's the team that has pretty much owned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the last couple of years?
The Rams.
Also, the New Orleans Saints.
Got you there.
Last year, they beat them twice without their best receiver, and they didn't have accompanying receivers to help out. They have a lot better depth on the offense. Their offensive line is going to be a work in progress, but I think we just talked about that for Tampa Bay as well. And their defense is better than Tampa Bay's.
Can I just get you on record here? Are you doubting Tom Brady?
No, I'm not doubting Tom Brady.
Oh,
Tom
sure.
Brady is the GOAT. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Let me stress that. The greatest quarterback of all time.
Greatest player all time. Go ahead.
Quarterback.
Player.
And the reason why I say this is because whereas his tackles are still really, really good, the one place that he is susceptible to problems is right up the gut, which is one of the reasons why, I don't know, the Rams have done so well, because they've got this guy, I don't know, maybe you've heard of him, Aaron Donald, that just comes up the gut and causes havoc. They are now down a center, guards,
Singular.
and they're going into a season. Brady is 45, which is probably prime for hip replacement. And
wait a second. If 45 is prime for hip replacement, how far are you along?
I've had 3 already. Thanks. I just think that with the O-line problems, I think that they're going to have more problems than anybody thinks. Leonard Fournette opens up that offense a lot. And as physically bruising a running back as he is, he's physically bruising when he gets into that second level. And he's not going to be able to get into the second level as much, which means it's not going to offer up as much of the play action, and it's not going to offer some of the other things that Tampa Bay likes to do. And no disrespect to the new coach, Arians pulls things out of his hat.
You can say it. Bruce Arians would say it.
Yes, I know, but I'm just gonna say he pulls things out of his hat that are just unique. And I understand Sean Payton's not there as well, but Payton he was calling plays, but he wasn't calling all of the plays. He was just basically inputting when they needed him. And the play calling hasn't changed. The defensive play calling hasn't changed for the Saints. And so I think that they're going to do it.
I can't buy into them. I don't trust their O-line. I do not think their defense is as good. And you got to remember, who did they just trade away yesterday morning? Their star nickelback, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That team's taking a hit in the defense. I don't care what you say. He's important in that defense. But let's get into wildcard teams. Who are your 3 wildcard teams?
The Bucks, the Packers, and the 49ers.
Ooh. We have one agreement. The Packers, the Detroit Dan Campbells, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Did someone mention piss testing earlier?
Hey! I'm not picking a fight with Dan Campbell. You can have that fight. I like my kneecaps in my body. No, but I think, and again, I'm going to plug the episode I just did on the Detroit Lions. Go listen to that. Dan Campbell's going to get that team ready to play football. They're going to pull you into their game. They're going to scratch and claw. They're going to bite you. They're going to do whatever it takes to win games. And that's why I think the Lions make it. Unless it's referring to the Dallas Cowboys, in which, go ahead, explain why the Dallas Cowboys aren't making it.
Well, I don't think the Cowboys are making it, simply because I don't think that there's going to be 2 coming out of that division. The I'm going to preface this by saying that the only reason why I have the 49ers making the playoffs is because they just re-signed Jimmy. And so by the end of the season, Jimmy's going to be playing. And I think he'll be able to rattle off enough wins to where they get it. I'm not a Trey Lance fan. You can have all the physical tools and all the speed and be able to throw the ball a mile all you want. If you can't read defenses, you're not going to be as successful as your physical attributes dictate. I mean, let's face it, Trey Lance can throw the ball much, much farther than Tom Brady. And he could probably run 100 yards before Brady can run 40 yards.
Oh, I'd say 20.
But it's the mental game. And he hasn't had it yet. He's not accurate. When your best hope is that he's 50%, and of the 50% of his misses, he doesn't throw too many interceptions, that's not good. Yes, his legs are amazing, and he's going to make some spectacular splash plays running the ball. And he'll make just some amazing throws that the receiver is going to come down with, and they're going to score touchdowns with. But he is not ready yet. And can he grow into it? Well, hey, Josh Allen did. So he can definitely grow into it. Some people just don't. But he's just not ready right now. And so the best thing that the 49ers were able to do was they re-signed Jimmy. And as much as nobody likes Jimmy, he's still the best quarterback on that team.
See, I don't think Jimmy plays at all this year. This is Lance team's minus an injury. I'm going to preface this minus an injury. This Trey Lance trade up to get him, this holds Lynch's and Shanahan's jobs on the line. I know that's crazy to say. They've been very good. You don't give up 3 first-round picks and don't get that playoff run with your quarterback. I think Trey is going to be the guy. Whether he's the right guy or not, he's the guy there in San Francisco.
How far did they go last year?
And it's a
without
championship.
Trey? And was there a specific moment where the defense could have closed out that game and they didn't?
Oh, yeah. But my point is, this holds a job stake of Shanahan and Lynch. If they pull Trey, it is not a good sign to ownership. That's where I'm getting at. Their jobs are on the line with this trade. If they do not make the playoffs with Trey Lance their starting quarterback, they're gone. This whole regime is getting scrapped. They're going to go with a new thing, go for a new quarterback.
If they get far into the playoffs again, because Trey wasn't ready and they went to Jimmy, and Jimmy gets them far into the playoffs or even into the Super Bowl or whatever else, the rest of that team is flat out stacked. Do you think the ownership is going to care if they had to bench a guy that they drafted for a couple and they traded up to get, if they get him a Super Bowl? No, he's not going to care at all.
With what you're doing, though, is you're giving up on that draft pick 100%. I don't.
No, you're not. You're saying he's not ready. You're saying he's not ready.
And you're going to destroy his confidence.
You got 5 years.
You bench him while he's starting, you're going to destroy his confidence. As much as we can say it takes physical talent to make in the NFL, as you just allude to, it's a mental game. If you don't have confidence, you're done. And you cannot destroy a young quarterback's confidence, not conference, if he's going to be your franchise guy.
You can still say he's the franchise guy and you're going with the hot hand. Do you remember when Eli Manning replaced Kurt Warner? Hall of Fame Kurt Warner.
No, because I was 5 years old.
With a winning record, the Giants put in Eli Manning. Later on that year,
95.
Later on that year, Eli is struggling.
3.
Warner come in off the bench, wins the game. Did it destroy Eli Manning's confidence? Let's see. Okay. Winner of 2 Super Bowls. I'd say that he might be okay.
Okay. this is a whole different thing. With what you're saying is, Trey goes to the bench. He's riding that bench. Manning came back and played, and I was 3 years old, so no, I do not remember this. If a 3-year-old can remember that, props. You sit Trey on the bench, you're done. Today's day and age, you're done with him. Everyone knows that. But not to hamper on this, because we have been going for an hour, so I'd like to speed this up a bit.
Cool.
Super Bowl, who do you have in your Super Bowl? I have Bucks Bills, with the Bills being the Bucks.
Rams Colts, with the Rams winning.
Okay. Now, let's get to bold predictions. What's your first bold prediction?
The 49ers will only make the playoffs if Jimmy G is the quarterback.
Okay, just went to that. Mine, this is bold, but I loved what I saw when I was watching him play. Josh Allen, the edge rusher of the Jacksonville Jaguars, will finish number 1 in total sacks this year.
Well, I don't know if that's that bold, considering as stacked as that defensive line is.
You gotta beat TJ and Myles Garrett.
My second, and this is a homer pick, the Seahawks will not finish in the bottom of the NFC West.
Okay. My second, this is Lamar Jackson's final year as a Baltimore Raven. I think he's gone, Baltimore. I think you're going to see him fly off to Miami here soon. Your next one?
Honestly, those are the only two I had just because of everything that's changed up. And if I made other bold predictions,
okay,
then
I got 3 more, so let's rapid fire. We're going to wrap this up because we're recording a second episode to go up Labor Day weekend. So the first one I'm going to bring up, Commanders have a top 5 defense in the NFL. This goes off me predicting them to win their division. They have to have that top 5 defense for them to get it. This goes kind of in line with what you kind of said. Cliff Kingsbury is fired mid-season. I don't think they get off to the hot start without DeAndre Hopkins, and I don't think the team holds up down the stretch. I think he's gone, packed his bags by week 12. And I want to wrap this up with a little college football bold prediction. Now, you know the ACC. Who has run the ACC in recent years? I'm asking someone who doesn't know college football. The answer is Clemson. What if I told you there's a team in the ACC that's going to make the college football playoffs that's not Clemson? What would you call me?
it depends on who you're picking.
I'm going to take the NC State Wolfpack. And I know they lost their best player. You lose Naika Makwanu, he's a big loss. That team returns so much talent, it's not funny. That defense is loaded. That O-line is still very good. And they play a very similar ball to with what everyone's picking out to make it with the Utah Utes. They won't beat you. They'll make you give them the game. They're very patient. They're very disciplined. And at the college game, that is crucial to win football games. But that's going to wrap us up for today. As I said, we're going to record an episode right after this. It's going to be 5 fantasy sleepers from each of us. So come back next week as that comes out Labor Day weekend. And the following week after that, we'll probably have some reactions to some big football games. And I'm going to mention what games we're going to be recapping next week. But be safe to everyone and have a happy Labor Day.